How are you all doing tonight? Thank you for being out here in this delightful humidity. A few hours ago, I had some excellent curls. I was rocking excellent curls, and I could not keep them in. And because I am a control-freak diva, I begged some of my friends and colleagues that were here with me to go find me a curling iron. And it didn't really work. So, anyway, the heat is out to get us all. But I'm so glad that to be here tonight. I'm glad you all came out. Before I forget, I have a first-class relic of St. Maria Goretti with me, and I'll make it available this evening if anyone would like to venerate this relic later. Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but I am having some serious FOMO at the moment with so many of my friends from around the world that are in Poland for World Youth Day. Anyone else with me here? I am seeing pictures posted, fun little quotes, reunions, and I am totally jealous because I hate to miss out on anything fun. But at least we're all here together tonight, and this is pretty fun. So let's all post some pictures tonight about this and make them jealous. How does that sound? Do we have a deal? Okay. All right. Good. Good. They're the ones that are missing out. I'm not jealous at all. So tonight's topic is an interesting one: navigating the single life. When Colin asked me to speak on this, I was like, really? Because I personally have a love-hate relationship with this topic. Like, have you ever gone to a talk that's nailed it on this subject? I mean, they're either like overly cheesy and like dreamy and super optimistic, like too much, or then they're like kind of full of bitterness and a little depression. So yeah, and I guess now God is paying me back for all of those times that I've sat in these seats and judged people like, oh no, they're missing it, too cheesy, nope, too bitter. So now I get to try. So, let's see how that goes. So you all can pray for me, and then if I'm terrible, I'll blame you guys. So, I am by no means an expert on this topic, on navigating the single life. I have my own life experiences. I'm a girl, I'm a woman, and I'm not married. So, I can speak on this topic from currently lived experience. But again, I'm not an expert, so I just tonight hope to share with you just a little bit of some of my story and some things that I've learned along the way that hopefully maybe will be helpful to some of you. No matter what your vocation is, whether you're married, whether you're not, whether you're single, whether you're religious, whether you don't know what the heck God wants, wherever you're at, hopefully there are some tidbits of things that I've learned just through prayer and suffering and joy that you all may be able to take away with you. So, how many of you, well actually I don't know, how many of you folks out here tonight are single? As in not married? Okay. Good, that's great, good to know. Okay, so you're here to figure out how to do it and like get stuff figured out. Okay, well, wrong person here. But if you want to talk about living the single life fully and joyfully every day, one day at a time, hopefully I have something for you. Other than that, I don't have answers. And I've got 4 main points, or I guess it's better to say takeaways, because I don't usually make just definitive points. I have the classic spaghetti brain, like female spaghetti brain. I don't know if you guys have heard about the distinction between the male brain with the compartments and the woman's spaghetti brain where everything's intertwined. Well, I will share with you 4 main takeaways that are beautifully interwoven as only a woman can do. So, those main 4 takeaways that I would hope you take away are 1, that God has a plan for you. God has a plan for you. 2, love is real. 3, chastity is for everyone. 4, Prayer works. So, those are the 4 main things I have to share. I start with a little story, a little bit about myself. We'll start at the beginning. So I am the oldest of 4 children, and I'm blessed to have wonderful parents that really raised my siblings and I in the faith. And we weren't just like Sunday Mass Catholics, like our faith life was a normal part of life. I didn't realize until much later that my home was a little bit unusual. I had a mother and a father that cared for each other and enjoyed being married, and we prayed together and did like family road trips to go visit soon-to-be Saint Mother Teresa when she was in DC or this or that. So like the faith was a big part of her life. Anyway, I digress. Back to the story part. So apparently, I was a handful as a baby. And my mom loves to tell this story about me. If any of you have been to my home for more than 15 minutes or at least one meal, you'll hear this story about me as a child. So apparently I have a lot of energy and a lot of emotions, maybe still. But anyway, I didn't like to sleep. I didn't like to miss any fun. And at night, when my parents tried to put me down, I would just cry all night. Now, if they held me and hung out, I was great. Didn't cry. I was perfectly well behaved. Yeah, you might have a little Cristina there. Watch out. Yeah, handful. But so my parents were just besides themselves with sleep deprivation. And they tried all the usual tricks, putting the baby like in the washing room with, to hear the machine, or driving around at night. I didn't sleep, but I would be awake and pleasant, if they were paying attention to me, because I needed attention. And then finally, I don't know how they came across this, but our local church, our local parish, had a 24/7 adoration chapel. And they eventually decided, wait a sec, we're stuck up all night with her, and we can't sleep, and we're going crazy. Let's go to the Lord. So apparently, the first many months, year, I don't know how much longer of my life, my parents took me and spent whole nights in front of the Blessed Sacrament, just walking me back and forth, praying their rosary. So, I helped them get closer to Jesus. It's a pretty good thing to me. But the reason why I share this story is life doesn't always go according to our plan or to the way we think it should go. But God actually really is in charge and has a plan. Do you think it was my parents' plan for me to be crying and up all night, keeping them awake all night? I don't think so. But may it perhaps have been part of God's plan for me, for us, for our family. From a young age, my parents gave me a gift, but they didn't even realize that they were giving me. They were desperate. They were desperate. They needed sleep. And they just, anything to get me to stop crying or sleep. And they gave me the gift of learning and knowing that no matter what, at any time of day or night, I could go to the Lord. I could go to Him for any care, any worry, any trouble. I could always go to Him, and He would always be available for me. I just realized I didn't start counting myself. Oops. Okay, put the timer on now. Anyway, so they made me realize that I could always go to the Lord, and that Jesus was a safe place. And that was a profound gift, something that I've taken with me really my whole life. And I didn't even choose that. That was just something that happened. So yeah, life is full of ups and downs, and often our plans are thwarted. I know I've experienced in my life countless times, over and over again, that my plans have been thwarted. Especially in terms of love and in terms of like work, things I'm going to contribute to the world. I've been in love, well, a couple of times or many times, depends on how you define love, but I love a lot. And I've thought that I found the one before. I lost someone that I thought that I was going to marry. I lost an organization and a mission that I thought I would be at for my whole life. I've lost some things that I thought were like key defining parts of me, or what God wanted for me. And now I realize that each of those beautiful things that God gave me and then took away, he took away because he had something else for me. Something better suited for me. Not just something better. You know, sometimes people say, oh, you're not supposed to be that person because there's someone better for you. But I think it's more like there's someone better suited for you, or a mission better suited for you, or something else that you particularly are meant to do or called to do. Back in my college days, there was this, back when I thought, you know, all the discernment was overwhelming of what I was going to do then, haha, if I only knew what was ahead of me. There was a verse that I clung to. Psalm 37, verse 4, delight in the Lord, and he will give you your heart's desires. And it was something that I clung to. I found this in scripture, and I was like, oh, yes, okay. All I have to do is like love him, delight in his love, and then I'm going to get my dream. Like my dream life, perfect, everything I wanted. Well, it doesn't exactly work like that, but I have found the Lord to be so true and so faithful. Just not the way that I expected it. And I found him to be so much more loving than I could have imagined, because he would know and anticipate things that I obviously didn't know. Because God is God. But it's interesting, because that was something that I clung to, and it became a motto for me about how to live the single years joyfully, whether you're single permanently or temporarily. And a lot of us don't know, actually, right, if it's going to be permanent or temporary. So anyway, that's sort of been my motto for trying to live joyfully and well this time. And it's, gosh, when you're single, you have a freedom to love in a radical way, in a different way, to support friends and family. You get to love a lot of people in a very, very free way. It's a very, very beautiful thing. But don't get me wrong, I still always wanted my little dream. So anyway, my life has not turned out at all how I thought it would. I totally thought that I'd be married, I'd have a bunch of little kids, because I wanted a huge family, and thought I'd have all these things by now. And it hasn't happened. But let me tell you, life with the Lord is a wonderful, wonderful, wild ride. And had I had my dream now, like my dream, what I thought I wanted, what I always wanted since I was a little girl, you know what? I wouldn't have accomplished the things that God had for me to accomplish. I wouldn't have done the things I was supposed to do, love the people that I was supposed to love. You know, loving like 5 or 6 guys into their permanent vocations, you know, like sending them all into the seminary. I'm great at that, really good at that. But seriously, you know, love is beautiful, and it's never, ever, ever a waste. It's never a waste, and it's always a gift. And so, by having an extended, in my mind, time of singleness, the beautiful ways that I've just been able to encounter people and love and fall in love has just been so tremendous. So as I look back on my life now, even though I would have planned it way different, I don't know what I would cut out. Like, I don't know what I would say, oh, I didn't need to do that or see that person. Or so I see that God had a really, really beautiful plan for me. And I am incredibly confident that just as he has a beautiful plan for me, and I still hope that includes marriage and family, you know? But who knows what it will include. But just as I'm confident as he has and does have a beautiful plan for me, I'm confident that he has a beautiful plan for each and every one of you. And, you know, I think it's kind of interesting that today we celebrate the feast of St. Joachim and St. Anne, and we don't know tons about them, but according to some, I guess, tradition, we don't know a lot, but I think, maybe I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, don't stone me please, I think we believe under our tradition that it took a long time for the Blessed Mother to be born, for them to conceive a child. And I just think it's interesting that today, discussing this topic, that's the feast that we celebrate of a beautiful couple that tried to every step of the way follow the Lord, listen to the Lord. They had a desire in their heart, and he was faithful to them and honored them. But it may not have looked the way they thought it would have, and it was all in his time, not their time. And then they get to be a part of this, like, you know, huge thing, salvation history, all of that, yada yada. Kind of cool. But anyway, I just think that's interesting. I digress with my spaghetti brain. Anyway, so, let's see, where am I? Okay, so, God has a plan for you. He has a plan for each and every one of us. I think the way we need to approach this topic is much more basic, like fundamentally basic topics, like things that you would learn in Sunday school, basic Sunday school, if it's done well. If it's not just drawing. But that God created you, He created you and me, each of us, out of love and for love. That He made us in His image and His likeness. He created us male and female. I mean, these really, really basic things. I think this is the key to living out the single vocation well, and every vocation, is to really know who we are, who we come from, our identity, our dignity, and our purpose. I think we can get a little caught up on, like, what's our vocation? And you can't start living until you figure it out, until you know, until you've discerned it, until you're sure, until, you know, you've thought through every possibility and you've worked through every little thing. And I think this is a particular issue in millennials, like, with all of the options and what are we going to do? And it can be really hard to make a decision and to take a step. But I think we start doing all of that by just each day trying to be more the person that God created us to be. And I think especially in vein of the topics here of love and responsibility, of what we've been talking about the last 5 weeks, I'm speaking about masculinity and femininity. I think we cannot stress enough the fact that God created each and every one of us, male and female, in His image and likeness. And that God has a unique plan for us as man or as woman. I'll never forget the first time that kind of struck me in a more profound way when Christopher West came to speak on my college campus. He was speaking about John Paul II's theology of the body, and he said, you know, something along the lines of, you were created male and female, and you will be redeemed male and female. And for whatever reason, in that moment, like, it suddenly clicked that I wasn't like a girl by random chance. Like, it wasn't like God's like, oh, the next one's a girl, this one's a boy, this one's a girl. That I was specifically created feminine. I had a feminine soul for a reason. That my mission on this earth, I could only accomplish as a woman. And that just had a real profound impact on me. And no matter what our call vocationally, whether we're called to be married, whether we're called to be single, whether we're called to be religious, whether we're called to be a priest, God created you either a man or a woman. And He has a very specific call for you that requires you to fully live as a man or as a woman. And I just think that's a great starting point. There are some of my friends from college days who could make fun of me badly at this point, because from that moment on, I was like, you know, jeans, t-shirts, baseball caps, the class kind of girl. And after I realized, like, I'm a girl for a reason. First of all, I thought we had the better part anyway. I mean, I wasn't one of those, I was one of those girls that was like, oh, I want to be a boy. No, we get to grow babies. Hello, that's totally the cooler part. So I already thought I had it good, but I didn't realize that being a woman was like an intricate part to my mission. So anyway, after having this click moment, I was like, well, I just want to be like, I want to be as feminine as I can be. What's girly? Skirts. So, okay, I went to Penn State. We have cold winters, lots of snow. But from that moment on, I was going to wear skirts. So, I started out just Sunday Mass, like I always had to wear skirts. Then, I kind of liked how I felt, and I liked the treatment I got. I like attention, so I felt like I was treated better. Doors were held open for me longer when I wore skirts or dresses. Cars stopped more readily in the street. Kind of liked it, started doing it every day, and no matter what, I was going to be out in a skirt. So there were some funny times of me having these huge long skirts and like big boots and nothing that matched or coordinated, but I was going to do it. So anyway, I have since, grown in my understanding of femininity, and I'm still a woman if I have pants on. But anyway, although I do love skirts and dresses. I do. I still like it. So, anyway, it's stuck. But anyway, it's so interesting when I realized that God created me as a woman for a very specific reason. It really did something to me. And I feel like that's a great starting point when we're trying to navigate what's next. What does God want for us? Well, for sure, you know that He either wants you to be a man or to be a woman. And we know that He wants us to be a man or a woman of integrity, a whole person. So it's a great opportunity for us to start there, start at that point. And another point with this, God has a plan for each of us. Just for a moment, think about what it took for you to come into existence. Think about the possibilities. What is the likelihood that you were conceived? With all, just different decisions that your parents made, whether to come together or not, at specific times. Anyway, there's a whole lot. You can spend some time on that. I don't want to get into that too long, but the chances that any of us would come into existence are so minuscule that I can't believe that it was like a random occurrence. So if God willed that one egg and that one sperm to come together and uniquely form you, you better believe that He has a tremendous plan just for you. So, next point. Love is real. So, this is something I've shared a lot with my team, my staff over the years. One of those things that you share and then you do not want to be quoted back when you're going through a hard time. That the end of love isn't marriage. The end of love is heaven. And love is always meant to point us to heaven, not necessarily to marriage on this earth. And I just think it's important to remember that love is real, love is possible, lifelong love is possible, but love isn't always romantic love, that friendship love is real, and the ultimate model that we know of love was Jesus dying on the cross for each of us. And that wasn't, Him having one lifelong marriage partner. But anyway, and at the end of the day, love, like God, is love. So, love is real, God is love. We need to keep our eyes focused on the prize, which is heaven, not marriage. Heaven, not earthly marriage. And it doesn't mean that, God just works in mysterious ways. So, I'll leave it at that. And don't forget that He did give us the desires that we have in our hearts, and He wants to fulfill them, and He wants to be faithful to them. My next point, chastity is for everyone. Sounds nice and cheesy, especially from the girl that spent decade of her life doing chastity talks. But I've come full circle with this topic, and let me tell you, chastity is the way to go. Chastity safeguards love. Chastity actually allows for love. What is chastity? You all have, I don't know if you guys have come each week, but I'm sure you've had much more eloquent explanations of chastity. But really, chastity is just a proper integration of our sexuality into reality, into our state of life. And it is what allows us to love. Okay, good. So today, I went to noon Mass at St. Pat's Cathedral, and running out of Mass to get to my next thing, I stumbled into someone. And it was to a guy that I had dated for a few years back, and he is now in religious life. I'm not going to give any more descriptions of that, but and I stumbled into him, and I just thought it was so good to see him, and it was awesome to just delight in him for a moment, to feel love, to love him, to see him, and then I just thought, God, you're so funny. Tonight as I'm coming here to give this talk, just wow. When you are able to love someone with a chaste love, you can run into them and they can be married to somebody else, or and it allows you to love freely, to be able to look people in the eye for the rest of your life, to know that you've loved someone well, and chastity allows you to continue loving someone even if you aren't called to a romantic lifelong relationship with them. So I just thought that was interesting. But yeah, chastity really makes love possible. And the cool thing about chastity is it's for everybody. So again, working to practice it now, when you are single, is only going to be good no matter what. Whether you're single temporarily or permanently, chastity will always help you and allow you to love. And no matter, what you're dealing with your sexuality, your orientation, different desires, like chastity is for everyone. It allows each and every single one of us to concretely love other people on this earth. It's amazing. Okay, and then my final takeaway, that prayer works and prayer is real, and it's my lifeline. So since I was that little girl in adoration as a baby, not that I chose to even be there, but Jesus is love, God is love, and just to go, and if you're not married, it doesn't mean that you don't need love. You need love, and you're made for love, but to not forget to go to the author of love, to love himself, love itself, to Jesus. And so Mass, the sacraments, confession, all of those great things, like confession that's available here now, all of those things, they are the lifeline that allows us to live and to navigate this difficult journey of saying yes to God each next step of the way. So, to review, God has a plan for you, for each and every one of us. Love is real, and it's never, ever a waste. Chastity is for everyone, and it's actually possible. And prayer works. Prayer works. I end just with a quick little story. Do you all know Pier Giorgio Frassati? None of you guys know him, right? So, beautiful man, an Italian man, that was just a fun, vibrant, normal young man in his studies, liked adventure, loved to climb, loved to drink beer with his buddies, like a normal guy that loved the Lord so much and drew others to Christ. So he died when he was just 24 years old. And, Pier Giorgio, he had fallen in love. There was one young woman that he was very attracted to and was thinking about a family life with. He also was thinking about the priesthood. He was thinking about a lot of different things. And I just think Pier Giorgio is such a great role model for those of us in living a single life. Because had Pier Giorgio been like, well, I'm gonna figure out this vocation thing first, and once I know what God's made me for, then I'll go out and love and make an impact. He didn't wait. He lived every single day as a gift. He used every single day to grow closer to the Lord and to share that love that he had with others, to serve the poor, to love, to make friendships. He did discern some things, but he didn't let it cripple him. He actually acted. And had Pier Giorgio waited, he would have missed his chance to be a saint. He would have missed his chance at sanctity. So I guess he's a great person, I think, to look to and to kind of close with, that is how I hope to live each day of my life. That is how I hope each of you live each day of your life, no matter your vocation, whether you're married, single, religious, lay, priest, consecrated, whatever. To live each day as a gift and for other people and to love. If you go that way, you can't go wrong. Because again, the end goal of this life is heaven, and the end of love is heaven. So I feel like you can't go wrong that way. And I guess I just close with saying, at the end of the day, life is super, super short. Really short. We don't know how many years we're going to get on this earth, but we don't get a lot of time. So pretty much, I feel like let's live it in a way that we can all be in heaven together forever. Cheesy as it may be, that's really what I mean. So I hope that for each and every one of you. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you check out the Culture Project at restoreculture.com to learn more about our mission and our ministry and our work, and I'm excited to be with you all this evening. Thank you.
Let's give Cristina another round of applause. Thank you, Cristina. I do recommend that you check out restoreculture.com and you look into the Culture Project and the awesome stuff that they're doing. I'm going to bring Mike back.